Hello, everybody. Welcome to this YouTube Live today and webinar. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you about these powerful eclipses that we have coming in on April 30th and May 16th, 2022. I am Jocelyn Starfeather, and I am very excited to bring you this extra special presentation today. So let me share my screen with you, and we can begin. Here we go. So the theme of these two eclipses, and they are two very different eclipses. They each carry a very unique and distinct energy of their own. And so through this 2-week journey into the other side of eclipse season, we are going to be on a journey of life leads to death and death leads to rebirth. So the first eclipse will be a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus on April 30th, 2022. And the second one will be a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 16th, 2022. So welcome to you, everybody joining on YouTube. I am thrilled to gather with you today and share about these powerful, powerful portals of energy coming up. And please go ahead and put into the live chat or the comments over on YouTube, where are you joining from and what is your name and how are you feeling today? We are just in the midst of such incredibly intense times. It is beyond human comprehension, really, the intensity that we're each going through right now. And this is happening on a collective level. We see the world, we see that there are places in the world and situations in the world that are just incomprehensible what's going on. And this is also happening for each of us in our own lives. We are experiencing multiple initiations all at once. We are being forced to make really big decisions and let go of things in our own lives in a really big way right now. So if you're feeling that, type yes in the comments. It's just so strong right now. It is really incredible, all that we are traversing. Now, I have a couple of quotes from Rumi that speak to us at this time. He says, "The universe and the light of the stars come through me. And also, my soul is from elsewhere. I'm sure of that, and I intend to end up there." Now, during these times of very accelerated change, here are some guidelines to help you navigate. And I'm right there with you. I'm going through this as well in the most wild and crazy ways. So just know you're not alone. So many people in the world, really everybody in the world is experiencing this. I think people who are listening to this video, who are awakened and who are on their spiritual path, are feeling it more intensely because we who are empathic beings and intuitive beings and who have opened our hearts to the awakening process and who have committed to be on this spiritual journey, right? We have to also hold the energy for those who are still living unconsciously. And there's no judgment there. It's just that we have each made our choices along the way, right? And so if you're hearing this video, I'm sure that you are on a highly conscious path. And just know that you are holding the energy not only for yourself, but also for our collective. And that's really big. And it's not easy, and yet it's necessary and important as we navigate through really building the new world. So in order to survive and navigate and even thrive, yes, it is possible to thrive during these times, right? We must let go of logic and rational ways of perceiving. And we must recognize that logic and reason are inherently limited and can create unnecessary obstacles for us. So really let that sink in, okay? We need to think and make decisions and live more interdimensionally, more multidimensionally, really opening ourselves to all possibilities, not following the same logical, rational paths that we have until this point, and really that our entire society and culture is based upon. And so instead, we can make decisions and shape our perspective of the world from the heart, from the womb or hara or sacral area of the body, sacral chakra, and also our third eye, but not from the mind. The mind will mislead us at this time because the mind can't handle all that's going on. And so this is really about trusting our intuition more, giving less power and energy to the media, to the rules and regulations, and to the viewpoints held by mainstream society. And doing this will allow us to live more interdimensionally and multidimensionally, and allow us to see the possibilities beyond what is readily apparent, and to understand that there is so much more going on than what we've been told. Now, this part here at the bottom of this slide is so important to acknowledge and to really bring into your awareness at all levels. We live in magic, okay? If you think about just life itself, life and death cannot be explained by science, cannot be explained fully by the greatest minds of our time, okay? These are miracles. It is, if we look at it from a scientific perspective, it's completely a miracle that life exists. Okay. And yet we are here, and the trees and birds are here. All of us, we are alive. So we live in magic, and there are signs and synchronicities and miracles communicating with us at all times. So we are surrounded by this, and we are made of it. So life itself is magic, and death is not an ending. It is a doorway to new life. These aspects of our experience are beyond the comprehension of the human mind. So as we navigate today, and as we go even deeper into all of this in the eclipse season, and I'm going to tell you all about the eclipses in just a few minutes here, we must be prepared to go beyond the human mind and beyond the normal, logical, rational ways of thinking in our explorations and in our understandings, because we are building the new world from the ashes of the old, and we must build it in a new way than what has created it up till this point. Now, those who are in power want us to believe that we're limited, and this is something that is a much bigger story, okay? And this limitation of our power and control through fear tactics, okay, has been happening for thousands and thousands of years, and has been building, and has now reached a crescendo where we are finally really seeing en masse. So many people are awakening to this and seeing that this has been an illusion. This has been a lie, that we are immensely powerful. We are infinitely powerful. We can create new realities. We can shift the physical forms of the world around us. And we have been told otherwise, okay? So just really anchor into that knowing, and know that the changes coming through, the changes rolling through your life are here to up-level you. They are here to help you release things that you no longer need, so you can make room for all of the new, for all of the magic and the beauty that wants to come in. New relationships, new careers, starting a new business, moving to a new home. These, whatever you are most deeply longing for, is on the way to you. And it's hard because it can seem like we're in great darkness right now. And so again, I will say our hearts can handle these changes, even and especially when our minds cannot. So really trust that you will know exactly what to do at every step, even when it seems impossible. And one of the best things you can do is to continue cultivating a deep trust in everything that occurs, even if it seems really hard, even if it seems like a huge challenge. Trust that it is necessary for your path, okay? And really trust how you are guided from source, creator, God, goddess, from the universe. The messages that are coming through your intuition and through your heart, trust them and know that you're going to be guided in a way that goes far beyond rational and linear explanations. And you may be asked to do things by your guides and by creator and by the universe, things that seem crazy to your family and friends. If you are in that place, my heart goes out to you. I know how challenging that is. And yet keep trusting, keep doing the best that you can to bring forward your own truth and to follow this path of the golden thread that is rolling out in front of you. It will lead you to more and more miracles and synchronicities as you go. And know that if you're listening to this, okay, and again, I know all of those listening are on the path of high consciousness. Okay, you are an integral part of the new future that is being birthed through us right at this moment. Now, if you're wondering why it's taking so long for your deepest desires and your dreams to manifest, to really come to you in physical reality, it's so important to know that the universe is shaking everything up, okay? The divine, highest intelligence, the sacred geometry of the cosmos is shaking everything up for us right now because we need to change massively. Humanity needs to change. And all of this beauty is coming in to help us. The sacred unions, the true sacred unions, right, are coming in. The guidance for you to get to the exact place on the planet where you can do your absolute highest work and offer your highest contribution, that is coming in. The new career, or you sharing your voice and your message in a way that you've never dared to do before, that is coming in because you are needed to meet the right people, to live in the right place, to bring your message forward. But it takes time to orchestrate all of this. Okay, there are so many ripples of change going through all of us right now. So we can be brought into the exact right places, the exact right connections, the exact right perspectives and understanding to really take those leaps in our lives. And so relationships have to end so that the new sacred unions can be lined up and come together. Truths have to be revealed so that people are empowered to let go of what's old and step into the new before they'll be ready to receive this, right? And people need to awaken. So all of this is happening. You too are being shifted and changed so that you can be put in the exact places that you need to be and with the people you need to meet. All of this is being orchestrated in your favor. It's absolutely astounding. Again, beyond what our human mind can comprehend, all that is happening at this time to line these things up. So really be patient. It's all coming to you. And the best thing you can do is trust and surrender and ensure that you are releasing all that is no longer meant to be yours. Okay, releasing all that has weighed you down, all that has been a burden or not let you be fully yourself, because we've got to clear out that space in order to have room to welcome in the new when it arrives. So stay strong and stay courageous. It may seem like we're in times of great darkness, and there is great darkness. Okay, there is both great darkness and great light right here side by side in our world at this time. So just know that although there are these very terrible things happening, very difficult things happening, there's also tremendous magic breaking through at the same time, and we can trust that and we can follow that. Now, these eclipses, and I started with all of this to lead up to the eclipses because the eclipses are going to be a massive portal that accelerates all of this. And I know it might be hard to believe that things can go any faster or that our evolution can be accelerated anymore, but it is going to happen that way. And the eclipses are going to open us up to that. So breakthroughs, revolutions and revelations and completely new possibilities and opportunities are going to open up right before our eyes during these upcoming eclipses and the 6 months following them, which is the portal that eclipses work in. Now, before we go over to the eclipses and really dive into the specifics about them, let's just anchor into the alchemical prayer here. And this addresses, this question of why have I not received what I've been asking for? Why has it not manifested yet? Keep your heart open to the possibility, to actually the certainty that the universe is sending you something even far better than you could possibly imagine. Okay, so we say this alchemical prayer together. dear universe, please send me all of the things that I need the most that I do not even yet know are possible. And if you're in any of my classes with me, you've already been saying this quite a bit, but if you haven't seen this before, I really recommend saying it 3 times a day, every single day. It opens you up to the most incredible new possibilities and opportunities that you did not even know were available to you. So really work with that. Now, eclipses, as I mentioned, are times of accelerated transformation. And they usually occur in pairs, like these upcoming ones that are happening on April 30th and May 16th. And during eclipses, we enter a portal in which significant changes can happen very rapidly. Again, even more rapidly than they have been. And these eclipses set off a chain of events. So it catalyzes events on these eclipse dates. Now, the direct impact to you may not be immediately detectable, but it will become clearly evident very soon. Okay, so maybe 2 days later, maybe 2 months later, maybe 6 months later, but within the following 6 months after the eclipses, you will have these changes very clearly manifested in your life. So again, trust and know it is all happening. Now, on eclipse days, it is really important to allow yourself the time and space to connect with these transformational energies. So really open your heart and your mind to breakthroughs and to new insights, because they will be coming through. And like on the April 30th eclipse, this is an amazing time for relationships to begin. So on April 30th, to celebrate the new moon, it would be wonderful to be at a gathering where maybe you can meet new people. Okay, I'll talk more about that as we look at the details of the eclipse, because each eclipse carries a very different energy and brings a different portal of opportunity. So this, and let me just check quickly here on YouTube and make sure you all are doing okay. Hi, Wild Lovely One in Panama. Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. Been feeling lost and sad these past few days. Yes, I hear you. I really hear you. It has been so intense. I will mention too, we've been having solar flares and coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, which are these like huge energy outputs and light outputs from the sun. This really shifts us physically, and it can take a lot for our bodies to physically recalibrate to that. So I'm just sending you my love, Wild Lovely One, and you will be, it will shift. Let it, let it process, feel the grief or the sadness, whatever you have within, let it move through you, cry, dance, whatever helps you to move that, and really trust it's going to be moving through you. And more magic is coming. So really, really trust that. And I welcome anybody else who's watching live, and also those watching this later as a recording. Go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. And I would love to have you on here even more often for more amazing YouTube lives. And do tell me in the chat, where are you in the world and how are you feeling right now? Such intense times we are in. So here is the astrological chart of the new moon solar eclipse that's coming up on April 30th, 2022. It will be exact at 4:42 p.m. New York time. Okay, so you can calculate your own local time from that. Now, this is a new moon. Okay, so this is a powerful eclipse to set intentions. And for this eclipse, we will have the sun and the moon at 10 degrees of Taurus. This eclipse moment is so beautiful because we're going to have Venus and Jupiter conjunct at the exact same time as the new moon. So not only is this a new moon, which brings initiating energies, amazing energies for starting something new, planting seeds, setting intentions, really getting clear on your visions for the future and what you want to build. But also we have Venus and Jupiter together, the two great benefics. So Jupiter brings expansion and growth and abundance and financial wealth and optimism. And Venus brings love and beauty and relationships and romance and sexuality. she also asks us to step into the fullness of how do we value ourselves? Okay, are we truly asking for what we need in our relationships, in our lives, in our work? Are we really receiving everything that we need to? And if not, what needs to shift and change so that we can? She is also ruling over wealth and abundance. So this new moon day, solar eclipse day, would be an incredible time to set intentions around financial wealth and abundance that you want to call in. And this is also an incredible time for new relationships to begin. Now, let me say a little bit more about relationships at this time on our planet. We went through a very catalyzing Venus retrograde where Venus was with Pluto in Capricorn in December 2021 and into January 2022. Many, many relationships were shattered at this time. Many, many couples broke up. The reason for this is that the new sacred unions have to be formed so that together we can work with masculine and feminine blended together. Okay, the sacred unions coming together to help birth the new world. So relationships that were not in alignment as of December 2021 have largely all been ended. And maybe you're going through this. Maybe a relationship just ended for you. If that is the case, trust in this journey your new sacred partner, who will be so much more highly aligned, so much more able to truly meet you, is coming in. They're on their way. And if you've been single for a long time, trust your sacred union is coming in, because these relationships have all been reshuffled. Now, not only did we have that Venus retrograde in December and January, but also following the retrograde, Mars and Venus did this incredible dance where they were weaving together all throughout February and March 2022. This is very unusual. Okay, Venus and Mars usually have pretty quick conjunctions that last for 2 or 3 days, perhaps. But in this case, Mars was moving through Sagittarius as Venus was in her retrograde in Capricorn. And Venus was very slowed down at the time that Mars caught up with her. So Mars pulled ahead and then Venus pulled ahead, but they were going about the same speed. So they continued to weave together, and they even entered Aquarius together and stood together and danced together at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is the exact same degree, 0 Aquarius, the beginning of the Aquarian age, okay? This is the exact same degree that Jupiter and Saturn had their grand conjunction in December 2020. So this point of 0 Aquarius, having the god and goddess, masculine and feminine, coming together at that point, signals the initiation of an entirely new kind of relationship between masculine and feminine, an entirely new kind of love and sacred union that is here to build the new world that is becoming available for us at this time. So really take heart around your relationships. This eclipse on April 30th is a time when many new relationships will be formed, or the seeds will be planted for those new relationships to come together over the upcoming 6 months. So if you can be at a Beltane gathering, okay, on the April 30th to May 1st window, that would be such a wonderful thing and a wonderful way to possibly meet that new person you've been searching for. This is just so powerful for relationships. It is powerful for wealth and abundance as well, as I mentioned. Now, this is an eclipse that is very just beautiful energetically for these reasons I have mentioned. However, my title of the talk today is that life leads to death. And so we already are just seeing a hint of that. This eclipse is very much about life. It is about abundance. It is about Venus and Jupiter, right? Wealth and growth and optimism and relationships being expanded. But we're also preparing for this next eclipse, and the May 16th eclipse is going to feel very different. It's going to be very heavy. It's going to be about shedding and letting go, okay? And already with this April 30th eclipse, Pluto, the Lord of the underworld, and the one who helps us to understand when things need to die and be let go, he's already speaking up a little bit, because we have a sextile from Venus and Jupiter here at 27 degrees of Pisces to Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So Pluto's already putting his stamp on this just a little bit. And so what this means is that we may still be feeling, we probably will still be feeling some very initiatory energies, possibly some darkness, some underworld energies at the same time as we're feeling all the beauty of Venus and Jupiter and the new moon energy. Now, really, again, take heart around whatever intensity you're feeling with this eclipse, because this one on April 30th, and especially the May 16th eclipse, as we'll see next, is really, these eclipses are calling upon us to shed and let go of anything else we're clinging to that could hold us back from our highest evolution. So if you're still holding on to an old relationship that is no longer working, that it is just really clear that it's no longer working, this eclipse portal is like, it's like final call. You have got to let it go. All right. If you're holding on to a house or old patterns or an old career or old addictions, anything that is weighing you down, that is keeping you from being your highest self, and you have not yet dared to let go of them, you've got to let go now during this eclipse window. And Pluto is not going to let you forget. So really, truly welcome in these changes, welcome in the knowing that when we let go of things from our lives, it is a death, and death is a doorway to new life. Now, this eclipse on April 30th is a solar eclipse. It will only be visible in the very southern part of South America, so parts of Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile will see this eclipse, at least partially, and the northern edges of Antarctica. Interestingly, this eclipse will be visible from Easter Island. So if you happen to be there, you can see the eclipse on this day. Now, this is a much more serious topic here, this lunar eclipse, which will be on May 15th or 16th, depending on where you are in the world. If you are more in the central or mountain or Pacific of North America, it will be May 15th. For the East Coast of North America and all the rest of the world, it will be on May 16th. So this is exact on May 16th at 12:12 a.m. New York time. Interesting, 12:12. An angel number, an important number for us in this year of 2022. So for this eclipse, the sun will be at 25 degrees of Taurus, very close to the North Node, and the moon will be at 25 degrees of Scorpio, very close to the South Node. And when the sun and moon are close to the North and the South Node, this is when the eclipses occur. So for this eclipse, first of all, the moon and South Node are opposing not only the sun and the North Node, but also the planet Uranus. Now, with the South Node and the moon opposing Uranus, this is a much more difficult energy, okay? Particularly with the South Node and Scorpio being involved here, we are going to be called during this eclipse, much more strongly than during the April 30th one, to release and let go, to let things die, okay? Again, as I was saying, anything you've been clinging to that you know you need to let go of, but you haven't yet, you will probably have very difficult truths revealed at this time, or you will be called in some way. It might be something that is shocking and surprising that happens in your life that is really just calling to you or forcing you to let go of that thing, okay? And it's really important to listen. Really important to listen again, so that you don't have to suffer with that anymore, so that you can open your heart to the new magic that wants to come through. Now, the other difficult part here with this eclipse is that Saturn is squaring the moon and the South Node, and Saturn is also squaring the sun and the North Node. And Saturn is, it's a little bit, it's not exact, but Saturn is very close to squaring Uranus, as Saturn and Uranus will be in a square or almost a square all throughout 2022. So this square from Saturn is really challenging as well. Now, Saturn is the Lord of time. He is the one that makes us slow down. He is the one that makes us work really hard. Saturn does rule death. Okay, so we have Pluto involved here, the Lord of the underworld, speaking to us about letting things die. And Saturn too is saying it is time to let go. It is time to clear and heal your karmic wounds. Whatever you've been holding on to, whatever you've been addicted to, it is time to release. It is time to change those old karmic patterns so you can open to a new way. In addition to this, we have Mars with Neptune, which is about the shattering of illusions. Now, this is why I say that you may have a difficult truth revealed to you on this day. Neptune is about our dreams, our visions, our imaginations, and sometimes Neptune can be about how we are creating fantasies, okay? How we are wishing for something to be different than it really is, and then building a life upon that. If we're doing that, if you're doing that in any way, Mars is going to come in and cut through that illusion with his sword. He is going to shatter that illusion. And so my sense here intuitively is that there will be events on this day that are going to bring us to our knees, okay? There are going to be events on this day that are going to show us things that are really difficult to see. And we just want to be mentally, emotionally, heartfully prepared for that. There's one more difficult aspect here, which is Venus conjunct Chiron. Venus and Chiron will be together at 14 and 15 degrees of Aries. So this echoes the South Node emphasis, okay, of old karma needs to be healed, the old wounds from the past. What Chiron represents are our deepest wound. So whatever that wound is, we might need to look at it on this day. We might need to work with it. It might need to be healed. So you can see the trajectory here. We're going to have this incredibly beautiful Venus-Jupiter conjunction new moon on April 30th. That is all about life. We're going to have this very difficult lunar eclipse on May 15th and 16th that is really focused on death and about healing our karmic wounds and our patterns from the past. So we know that life leads to death. And what does death lead to? Death leads to rebirth. This eclipse is going to bring up death processes for us. Not that we have to die physically from this life, okay, but it is that we are going to have to really, truly let go of things we've been holding on to. And when we do that, we are reborn. When we do that, it builds our character, okay? It builds our strength and courage because we see, wow, I can let go of this relationship and I can be okay on my own, and maybe even stronger, and maybe I can even be more of who I truly am. Right? Or I can let go of this career and somehow I'm going to make it financially, and I'm going to start sharing my voice and my message in a new way that I never dared to do before. And that terrifies me, but I know it's the true path. So I really invite you to think about, what is it in your life that you've been clinging to? What is it in your life that you need to let go? And just make sure that by the time this eclipse happens on May 15th or 16th, you really are letting it go. You are releasing it from your life. You are opening space for new things to come in. And, you know, these intense times, they come in and they teach us these really deep lessons. And the sooner that we can respond, the sooner that we can go through that release and letting go process, the sooner that we can say, yes, I surrender to all this change that wants to move through, then the easier it actually gets. And then the shorter the difficult times will be, because we're learning the lessons. We're saying yes to the evolution. We're moving forward. We're advancing. We're progressing. And I have a little more to say about that, which I'll share soon. But I just wanted to show you first this chart, because this lunar eclipse will be visible from much of the world. So in the places that are red on this map, which is Eastern North America and all of South America, and looks like most of Antarctica, in case you happen to be there, this will appear as a full blood moon, okay, in the night between May 15th to May 16th. And it will appear as a partial blood moon eclipse in Western North America, Africa, and Europe. So I'm going to share just a little bit more here with you about life and death, okay? Because the ancient cultures, and particularly in ancient Egypt, they held profound knowledge of the mysteries of life and death. And this eclipse portal is an extremely powerful time to look to these cultures for guidance and wisdom, because we are truly in times of death and rebirth. And there is probably no better resource when it comes to knowledge of life and death than the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Now, this here in this image is a page of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is actually not called the Book of the Dead. That's just what researchers started to call it. But the true title, when this is translated correctly, is the Book of Coming Forth by Light. Okay, and so again, death is not an ending. Death is when we change form and we come forth by light once again. Now, this is a compilation of various ancient texts from the Egyptian tradition of magical funerary writing. And it is considered to be a written guide for the dead to use on their journeys to the afterlife. Now, Normandy Ellis is an Egypt researcher and amazing reference. And she has actually done a full translation of the Book of Coming Forth by Light, which is just beautifully written. And she says that this book is one of the most beautiful celebrations of life that I have ever read. It is a celebration of the beauty and terror of life, the awe of awakening unto a new day, or perhaps a new self. Now, the ancient Egyptians were so deeply in tune with both life and death that they celebrated both. And the ancient Egyptians, I can tell you from having been there 3 times now to ancient Egypt, they did not do anything halfway. They truly, fully immersed in these topics that were most important to them. And the studies of life and death and the rituals and celebrations about the continuance of life that they held were just absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. We can see more evidence of this in the pyramid text at Saqqara, which is this image right here. This is a portion of the pyramid text. Now, this is from around 3000 BC. As with all of these dates for ancient Egypt and other ancient sacred sites, I do believe that some of these might be much older than we know by our traditional dating systems, but we'll leave it at what the researchers are saying for now. Now, these pyramid texts are at Saqqara, which is fairly close to the Giza plateau, where the 3 pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx are found. And we know from really profound research from Graham Hancock and Robert Bouval and John Anthony West and many others that the pyramids, and also probably some of the structures at Saqqara, were resurrection chambers. And so these were chambers that where there is a sarcophagus or a box, okay, in the chamber, but no body, no dead body or no mummy was ever found there. Even by the very, very first people who broke into the pyramids the first time, there were no dead bodies in there. Okay, so these were magical structures that were used as resurrection chambers. And what I mean by that is that the pharaoh and also some of the highest priests and priestesses would go through an initiation ceremony where they had to die. Now, we don't know exactly how they did this. We don't know if they did this energetically or if they did this through entheogens or some other way, because the very, very most sacred and most detailed parts of this were not written down. But we know that they died and then they came back, and they traveled when they were dead, when they crossed over to the other side of the veil. They traveled out to the stars and they became one with the stars, specifically the immortal stars, which are the stars in the far northern sky, such as the Big Dipper constellation, the Ursa Majora or Great Bear constellation, which never disappear from the sky. These stars are visible every single night of the year if you have a clear sky to view them. the Big Dipper stars will be there. So the ancient Egyptians considered these immortal stars. So the construction and design of the pyramids was to project the soul or spirit, the Ba of the pharaoh, out into the stars. And these pyramid texts are the magic spells that the pharaoh had to say to ensure he would reach the stars. And this was so that he could become Osiris and be reborn. Okay, and it gave a very specific geography and geometry so that his Ba, or his soul, could reach the immortal realms. Now, this is really powerful. And again, it's something that's beyond our comprehension of how we understand reality to work in our modern world, but it's very, very clear in these texts. And even the hardcore Egyptologists consider these pyramid texts to be some sort of magical spells. Okay, so very powerful here. One more thing that I will say is this image here at the top left is the goddess Nut. Okay, she is the sky. And you can see in the lower right hand that she is the Milky Way. Okay, so when the Egyptians looked up in the ancient sky, they saw the Milky Way, they saw their goddess Nut. Now, interestingly, the sarcophagus was said to represent the body of the goddess Nut. So when the people would die and they were placed into the sarcophagus, they were being placed into the cosmos. And what this actually meant was that they were being placed into the cosmic womb so that they could be born again. And they saw this personified and played out every single day by the setting and rising of the sun. So the purpose, or one of the roles of the goddess Nut here, is shown in this beautiful image, which is on one of the ceilings at the Temple of Dendera, is that at the end of each day at sunset, the goddess Nut eats the sun. She takes it in through her mouth. Okay, she eats it and it disappears. It dies and it travels through her body. And the light of the sun shines out through her body as the stars all night long. And then in the morning, she births the sun. And the sun is born once again. It comes into the light once again from the womb of the cosmos. So death is never an ending. It is only a new beginning. And I share all of this here because as you're letting go, as you're going through a death process or possibly multiple death processes at one time, all at once in your life, okay, it's really important to remember that every death leads to a rebirth. So I'll share with you just one more mystery tradition before we close for today. So the Eleusinian mysteries were practiced in ancient Greece, and they were observed regularly from 1600 BCE to 392 CE. Now, they may have been observed in a less formalized format even before 1600 BC. But this is what we know and have documentation of. But always what is written down and what we have documentation of comes from something much older that was passed down over the millennia, right? So these are some beautiful images of initiates in the Eleusinian mysteries on the left. And this is the Ninian tablet from the 4th century BC, which we have garnered much information about the Eleusinian mysteries from this tablet. Now I'm going to change up the screen here for just a moment because I want to be able to see my other notes here. So no one knows with absolute certainty what happened during the Eleusinian mystery rites, but we do know that they involved the participant going into an underground cavern or structure to drink what was called the kykeon. And we don't know exactly what the kykeon was either. It could have been a wine or a beer that contained mind-altering herbs. It could have been psilocybin mushrooms or some form of ergo, which is psychedelic, okay? But they would drink the kykeon and they would undergo a death and a rebirth, an experience which was said to free the participant from the fear of mortality. And they were based around the story of Demeter and Persephone. This is the goddess Demeter here with her grain and her serpents. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about the story of Demeter and Persephone right here today, but it is a story of death and rebirth, and it is a story of the continual cycling of the seasons through spring and summer when everything is alive, to fall and winter when everything dies away. But always we return to spring when everything is reborn. Now, the ancient Greeks, where did they get this ritual from? Okay, where did they get the Eleusinian mystery ceremony from? They got it from ancient Egypt. So what's very interesting is that the extremely sacred rites of how the pharaoh and the high priests and priestesses went through their initiation and would die and be reborn is not written down anywhere, because in ancient Egypt, it was too sacred. It was considered too sacred to be written down. Now, when the Greeks found out what was happening in Egypt, they wanted to partake in this as well, and they actually opened it up to their entire population. Anybody who was a Greek citizen and who could speak the Greek language and who had not murdered anybody in their life was eligible to participate in the mysteries. So as more and more people gained access to this ritual and began to share information about it, in these later ages and stages, we learn more about it. So the people who participated in the Eleusinian Mystery School included virtually every important thinker and writer in antiquity. Everyone who was anyone was an initiate of these mysteries. So this includes great philosophers and influential figures such as Plato, Plutarch, Cicero, Aristotle, many playwrights, Marcus Aurelius, and the other highest hierophants and rulers and priests of the day. Now, the initiates were sworn to secrecy, and it was upon pain of death, okay? It was said that if you spoke up about this and you told anybody who was not an initiate about it, you could be killed. But some people spoke up on their deathbeds when that risk was no longer a problem, okay? And some people made written accounts that got passed down after they passed away. So, for example, and this is just so beautiful, what was written about these mysteries and what the people experienced. Plutarch, for one example, wrote, "Because of these sacred and faithful promises given in the mysteries, we hold it firmly for an undoubted truth that our soul is incorruptible and immortal. Let us behave ourselves accordingly. When a man dies, he is like those who are initiated into the mysteries. Our whole life is a journey by tortuous ways without outlet. At the moment of quitting it come terrors, shuddering fear, amazement. Then a light that moves to meet you, pure meadows that receive you, songs and dances and holy apparitions." And what's really fascinating about this is that we know it had a psychedelic component to it, but everyone had, it seems, virtually the same experience of crossing over to the other side of the veil and coming back no longer afraid of death. So whatever technologies they were using that they got from ancient Egypt, whatever kind of medicine was administered, it was very consistent with delivering this experience of experiencing what it was like to die and coming back no longer afraid of that. And in addition, Cicero, another philosopher, wrote, "Nothing is higher than these mysteries. They have not only shown us how to live joyfully, but they have taught us how to die with a better hope." So, as you can see, this is just extremely powerful what the ancient people were experiencing. Okay, and this is not only about our soul's immortality and our ultimate safety in the great web of life, right? Knowing that the soul never dies, that the soul is immortal. And so ultimately we are safe. But this is also about letting things die away from our lives. And so the things that might want to fall away from your life at this time include that which is complete, the contract has been carried out, or that which it holds the energy of who we've been before, but which cannot encompass the vastness of the energy of who we are becoming next. or that which was never a match with our energy to begin with, and that truth is being revealed now, and we must face it and change, okay? Or that which allows us to stay in our comfort zones. So we're being called so strongly at this time during this eclipse window to let things fall away so that we can move into the next version of who we're meant to be. So I want to ask each of you, and you can write in the chat on YouTube, how is this showing up in your life? What are you being called to let go? And it may also help to look at, what are you clinging to? And where do you feel stuck? In these places, you will probably find a fear of death of some form, a fear that you will not survive if that aspect, that relationship, that house, that job is released from your life. And this is an illusion. You can let that thing die from your life, and you will be safe. You will be held. You are so very guided and supported and protected. Now, initiation, which we are all going through right now, is when we go toward death and toward fear in order to be reborn. So we all get to choose to do this now, or we can be dragged kicking and screaming, right? And so how powerful is it to choose to release, to choose to look our fears and our woundings in the eye and decide to learn from them and enter into conversation and dialogue with them to ask, what are the lessons that are meant to be learned, and how can I work with this? And how can I actually befriend my fears? How can I actually welcome a death process of letting go of something that I know is no longer right for me? Now, John Perkins calls this touching the jaguar, right? For the shamans in the jungle. The jaguar is one of the most feared beings because it can bring instant death. The jaguars are so powerful. And if they dare, so one of the initiations for the shamans there is to go toward the jaguar, to actually touch the jaguar, to dare to do that, and to trust that they will be held safe, right? And Sandra Ingerman, another amazing shaman, says, if you thought you were going to survive, then it wouldn't be an initiation. Now we are living in a time when multiple initiations are hitting us all at once. And we must be prepared to respond to these, to respond to what the universe is asking of us. And we can really trust this process. When we say yes to the fullest life, then the old reality needs to fall away so that the new one can take root and grow into your primary reality. Sometimes we take steps forward and sometimes we take steps backward, and that's all okay. It is all a profound evolution occurring within us. So with that, I will pause. I'm looking at the chat over here. Yes, many couples broke up during that window. Yes. Hi, Latte. Good to see you. Hi, Christy. Hi, Claire. Yes, thank you for your comments here. So everybody, I really welcome you to journal on those questions that I presented there, okay, about what is it that you most need to let go of, and what are you clinging to, and where are you stuck? And really trust the answers that come up. Know that you will be guided and held safe and protected as you release these things, as you commit to your highest evolutionary path. And I wish you an absolutely beautiful and abundant and romantic eclipse on April 30th. And I wish you a very, very powerful and evolutionary and transformational eclipse on May 16th. Sending so much love to all of you. Mwah. Many blessings.